Hola, Minasan, Coqui-san here to talk to you about what had happened over the weekend of February 1st, 2025. Not only was episode 10 research of Dan 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 copyright blocked, but they also included 7 and 11, which were weeks ago, especially 7. 7 was weeks ago, and I lost all the views from that because I had to put them all in private. I had to re-upload those 3 videos, and it was very, very hard to do because every time I re-uploaded, it kept on blocking another scene, and it just kept on blocking multiple scenes, and it was very anger-inducing. From what I have seen on YouTube, whenever people tend to re-upload and private older videos, people tend to question what's going on or what's controversial or something. They start spreading words and everything. So one of the things I decided to do was create addendums and showed what it was that had to get removed from the initial video. This is a new thing that I decided to do, and I wanted to show as part of the transparency that there's no thought of shenanigans going on with the re-upload or some controversy or anything, because most of what was being blocked is benign. And not only that, but most of that stuff happens to be contain some of my reaction to it. And what's been very frustrating about this is the fact that these were my best ones of the Dan Da Dan research videos, and so it was pretty upsetting. So basically, what I want to also do with the addendums, and rather than turn it into something, I don't have to do it. It's true. I didn't have to do the addendums. I could have just, reposted and everything. But the problem is that a lot of you viewers out there dedicated a lot of your time to watch these videos, to see my reaction, and to see it get thrown away. Especially some of you who commented in there. Your comments are gone as well as those who put in the likes. Those are gone as well. That's what happens when a copyright block happens and a re-upload has to be done. It's a big hurt on me because I lose the optics of the numbers. You know what I'm saying? People come in, they say, oh look, he could get 100 views. Now they see, what's going on here? So what I decided to do with the addendums is turn that into a strength. I want to try and turn that into a strength and make that as content, rather than letting these copyright blocks be something of a hurt or a blow. Like a gut blow to the whole project. I decided to flip the script and turn it into a strength. So basically, the addendums is kind of like adding content now. It's like adding content to the video, and it's the scenes that are getting cut off because of the block. And I'm not gonna hesitate to call out the block. Saying if people think that's unprofessional, fine, that's your opinion. But here's the thing: I worked hard editing this. I am not a professional editor. I need to stress this out. I am not a pro editor. I'm discovering, I'm learning, I'm making mistakes. I'm asking people in the community section here, regarding my editing here. I tried my research reactions with both voice captions and non-voice captions. That's something that's from an editing standpoint. That's something that I tried to do with the editing. Saying I'm trying to experiment and get better, be more entertaining, look more entertaining, but most importantly, have the context of what I'm reacting to, and having to strip that out because of a copyright block, it really hurts the context of what I'm reacting to. Some of the a poor edit will make me look dumb reacting to it. So that's why I have the addendums, created the addendums. It's added content. Think of it as outtakes. think of it as outtakes, but I call them addendums. And I'm basically reacting to my reaction and try my best to explain to all of you what that reaction is about. Make sure that it's shown. That's why, I set it to full screen so that way you can see what it was that I was originally reacting to that was getting copyright black. So that way you would understand what it was I was trying to do. I explained to you what I'm trying to do. I have to keep the audio off. I do have to keep the audio off as a precaution. But at least in a sense, it's kind of like a behind the scenes type of thing. It's like an outtake. I don't know. You can see it in many different ways. But I wanted to turn it into a strength and make it content, so that those of you who are new and coming in looking at the videos are wondering what's with the edit, or why does the edit look weird, and why is it re-uploaded. Well, there's an addendum for you, the new viewer, and you can see what was cut out if you're interested and see what I reacted to. And for those of you who put in the effort to see my video when you didn't have to, I don't want you to think that there was something controversial or whatever it is. I just want you all to see, what you enjoyed that I reacted to is not lost. I think that's the key factor here, is that I don't want the footage to be lost. I don't want my reaction to be lost, what I reacted to be lost. And the weird thing about it is that the copyright doesn't tag those. For some weird reason, they don't get tagged for those. I think that's a good thing, especially because I keep it mute too. But it's kind of weird. It's weird that on the initial video, it's a copyright issue, but when I put in the addendum, it's not a copyright issue. I don't understand YouTube's criteria or anything, especially considering that many of the stuff is not even controversial. None of it is controversial, It's none of it is controversial. It's pretty ridiculous, quite honestly. But moving forward, whenever I end up doing a re-upload, you're gonna see an addendum, unless of course it's something that I did wrong. You know what I'm saying? If I did something wrong, like what happened with an early episode of Dan Da Dan, because I was still in my new phase. Let's see, episode 1 and 2, I was under the impression that you had to blur the screen. You know what I'm saying? The screen. I've seen that in a lot of reaction videos and everything, and I didn't understand it because, again, this was my first time doing anime and editing. Primarily I'd cover YouTube stuff, and I don't have to worry about editing because many of the YouTube channels are copyright friendly, like Skibbity Toilet. So what happened was that I found that I wasn't getting tagged for copyright when I didn't have the blur on, which was episode 3 of Dan Da Dan, as well as episode 3 of City Hunter. So I took the blur out, put of course the watermark Dan Da Dan and City Hunter on it, and just left it like that. And I hadn't been having that much problems. Anything that was a copyright block, I would go back before I fully uploaded it. But this was the only time I did a re-upload that was of my own doing two hands here. So if a copyright block or any other weird copyright shenanigans happens that I'm forced to re-upload, that's when you'll get the addendums. But if you don't see it saying with addendum, that means I screwed up. I did something in the edit and I had to fix it or something, and I will explain it, but it won't have an addendum or any of that. It'll just be me apologizing. But yes, with the addendums added to re-uploads because of copyright issues, I find it's very important because you need to see the context of what I'm reacting to. You need to know what I'm reacting to at all. And losing that context because some weird criteria that is arbitrary, clearly it's arbitrary, does a disservice to all of you, my viewers, who are looking to see what I think about your favorite scenes in your anime shows, and what I think about, what I'm saying, do I find it funny? Am I laughing at it? Do I have something to say about it? If it's all getting cut off, you know, saying, then you're not gonna understand. In fact, I'll give you a good example, and that's in episode 7 here, which got the worst out of the three, aside from episode 10. But this one was the worst because, oh man, the edit is just editing was just insane. But there was a scene that they tagged for it, and this was the scene where where Momo and Okuru were performing CPR on Ira, and I had mentioned. I said, "Is there a 911 in Japan?" And I started putting up captions, non-voiced captions, you know, explaining what 911 is and everything on the fly because I didn't know, and I had the context, which was when Momo, said to Turtle Granny, call an ambulance, but I said 911, but there's no 911 in Japan. You know what I'm saying? I said in the context of the U.S. They're in Japan. So I had to throw captions in there to correct myself on that on the fly. Without Momo saying call an ambulance, and you hear me say, did she say 911, and the captions start popping up. You don't have the context. You have no idea what I'm talking about. I look stupid. I will look stupid. All because the copyright pinged that whole scene. And I had to really surgically fix that up so that at least there's some level of context. So this is what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm talking about. This is why I created the addendums. That's why I turned them into addendums. So that way I can explain to you what was going on in that scene, especially if I further cut it and there's some context missing. Because without that context, you don't know what I'm talking about. You'll think I'm crazy. You'll think I'm incompetent. And I don't want that stigma. That's why the addendums exist. And I believe personally that could be a great strength for me for the video because it's added content. It's more content for you. You get like a behind the scenes type of look, sort of thing, like an outtakes kind of thing. I'm not sure how you want to see it, but I feel like it does a great benefit for all of us if I do that, so that you have the information and the context you're looking for. My videos won't come off looking or sounding stupid unless it is by my own two hands. And not the result of some outside force, like in the case of the copyright pings, and most importantly, I guess I could say it's an added feature because normally I do the addendums sparingly, and I do them like when something happens. So let me explain. The addendums actual intent is for something like what happened here in episode 12. Episode 12. There was a reference to Slam Dunk, and I missed it. Like, I completely missed it. I could have easily done a lot of things in the edit to convey that, but I decided to go with the addendum, which was what I was doing in a few other earlier shows, but very sparingly. Like, it was like a once-in-a-blue moon type of situation. Like, if something really big happened, that I missed and I needed to call out on it. So I did an addendum, added it to at the episode 12 at the start to let y'all know that, yeah, I caught the reference, post edit, and shared my thoughts about it and showed a little bit more content to it because it's added content, and made sure that it was part of the research. So now the addendum is going to serve a secondary purpose, and that is to give context to whatever gets cut out because in a re-upload because of the copyright. I know I'm talking a long time here, and I really thank you all for listening because I do have a lot to explain. It's a lot to explain. You know what I mean? It's a lot to explain because 781 people came to see episode 7, and it's all gone. And 18 people gave it likes and everything. It's like, how can you re-upload something like that and losing those numbers and people don't know and understand why? So that's why the addendums are up, so you all can understand why. If you go back in and you just go straight to the addendums, and see what what had happened, it would be great, and you'll know what got cut out, why it got, and what I have to say about why I did those reactions, and I'm hoping that this will not be a thing anymore. So in conclusion, I have one important thing that I want to say, and it sucks royally. I had been, talking for the past couple of weeks about, signing up on Netflix so I could cover Sakamoto Days. I didn't know that Down to Down was also on Netflix. I thought they were on Crunchyroll. I'm on Crunchyroll. I'm using Crunchyroll and Retro Crush at the moment to cover anime. And I didn't know that Down to Dawn had a multi-platformed viewing on with Netflix and Crunchyroll. Why now that Netflix decided to start pinging me for the videos is beyond me. I don't understand it. I can't figure it out. I don't care. It's arbitrary. What they were pinging me for was completely arbitrary. It was all over the place. But what I do know is that Netflix was the culprit. Out of the two, it was Netflix that was doing all of that content blocking. And the initial uploads, it was the publisher themselves until it was satisfied. Now, days later, weeks later, Netflix decides to start pinging not just episode 10 again, but 2 other episodes. And that's very annoying. That was very annoying. So I'm not going to be covering any anime that's on Netflix. Netflix is off limits on this channel. I can't have them doing these arbitrary things. It doesn't matter how good I edit. It doesn't matter how good I edit because, YouTube said multiple times, yeah, your checks are clean. You don't have any copyrighted content. Your video goes up. Then days later, Netflix hits a copyright. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't make sense to me what their criteria is. They're just doing it arbitrarily. And I can't keep doing this. I was supposed to be rewriting Trucker no Bouken this weekend. I had set my whole schedule up this weekend to do Trucker no Bouken and then transition over to taking care of this week's videos. Instead, I found myself trying to clean up this whole mess. I started at 12 a.m., 12 midnight. And I didn't end until 5 a.m. That's how long it took to get those 3 videos back up. I'm being real here. I'm trying to tell you something all here. That this was very annoying. And I needed all of you to understand why these re-uploads happened the way it did. Because of this. And if this is the way Netflix is going to operate copyright on YouTube, being arbitrary and waiting weeks later, days later, after I have gotten so many views, then I see no investment, no value whatsoever to go into Netflix to cover any of the shows they post up. If they want it so much, they can take it. They could take it and cram it down their throat. Okay? It's like fair use, fair use doctrine. You know what I mean? These are research videos, first and foremost. It just happens to have reactions on there. It's just part of the cherry on top. The icing on the cake kind of thing. But no matter how hard I'm going to edit a show from Netflix, it's never going to be good enough for them. Clearly. So there's no need for me to put myself through all of this. So and that also means I might not cover Down to Dawn season 2 because going forward because of Netflix. Until this whole arbitration, this whole arbitrary selection of what violates copyright and what doesn't is over, and I doubt it's gonna be over anytime soon. So. I thought that I'd let you all know that that's my final decision. There'll be no coverage of on Netflix. There'll be no researching shows on Netflix whatsoever. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I have other important things that I need to focus on, like rewriting my novel Trucker no Bouken. And I can't lose a weekend like that, like this, because I have to re-upload and explain to all of you why it is. Even if I didn't do the addendums, it's still was going to take me, excuse me, it's still going to take me, a long time. Yeah, so yeah, 20-minute video. Thank you all very much. Thank you all very much for your support, your understanding, your views, your comments, your likes. I really appreciate all of it. I wish that this copyright thing didn't exist, honestly, but we can't do anything about it. As I've said many times, it's not our right. We don't own the works or anything, and we gotta play. We gotta play a fair game. I just wish that they would, reciprocate and not take everything as an attack on their copyrights and such. Professionalism. If we're willing to meet them halfway, they gotta meet us halfway too. So that's what's gonna be moving forward. I'm gonna be putting addendums every time I do a re-upload, and I'm not gonna research any shows that appear on Netflix, even if it's on Crunchyroll. They're not worth it. It's not worth it. So thank you all for watching this whole video. I had to really explain so much. So until the next research video, thank you all for joining me, and I wish you all a good night, buenas noches, and oyasumi nasai.